good-looking people of planet Earth, and thanks for finding us on an all-new episode of the OH.Report video podcast. My name is Brian Skoronsky, hanging out in downtown Mansfield at our lair here, OH.Report World Headquarters, and it's definitely starting to feel like fall out there. Mother Nature finally has turned the page. I think summer went to bed, and football season is here. Just maybe didn't remind our NFL football teams in Ohio that it was football season, so sorry Browns fans and Bengals fans, and well, heck, let's throw in Steelers fans too. I've got one hanging out with me right here, Mr. Travis Berardi, a part of the show. And how are you doing after a late night? Obviously, there was a lot of delay before we got to see Carrie Underwood and those beautiful thighs showing up on our TV screens, and then kind of a rough ending unless you like the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just leave it there?
Just leave it there. I mean, let's forget Sunday. The Mountaineers won. The Ohio State Buckeyes won.
Yeah.
The Guardians won game 1, but
yeah,
we'll get into game 2. But yeah, it was, other than that, beautiful weather, great times, but we'll just forget Sunday.
You know what? Let's not talk about the NFL anymore. This show, let's just put that baby to bed. We've got a lot more coming up that we're going to discuss, including the weekly KMAC report, where we just dissect all the sports. It's not just football. We talk about the volleyball, cross country, golf is starting to hit a big section of their season.
Yeah.
State tournament coming up here just next week. And the top plays of the week for football and the Friday Night Phenoms. We've got those for week number 7 in a pretty jam-packed Phenoms list that I'm looking forward to Travis displaying for you guys. Yeah. Lucas Wickheiser is going to join the show, so maybe we are going to talk a little bit more NFL later on in the show, but if we can, we might shade it. He's got that Cleebus thing going on, so we might go a little less clean, a little bit more bus.
Hey, Buckeyes look really impressive. So did my Mountaineers, but the Buckeyes, it's a Cleebus. I mean, is anybody going to beat Ohio State? I mean, they're
well, if someone's
really
going to do it, it's going to be this Saturday. It's going to be in Eugene, Oregon. Yeah. So we'll
Big Ten Saturday night.
We'll dive into that one. That's going to be the biggest game of the week, of course. Number 2 versus number 3, taking on the Oregon Ducks. And then the tourney draw in both soccer and then volleyball went down yesterday. Here. So with the expanded divisions in both, there's so many different places to try to keep an eye on some teams. Some of these districts are unbelievably weak. I'm not sure what the OHSA was thinking, where we've got 3 teams in an entire district, but it's that's what it is right now, so that everybody gets a chance to show up to the party and try to get a medal. We'll dive into that coming up real soon, but we got to begin today's show. Actually, we're not exactly going to be up in the city of Cleveland. We're going to be in a car on the way back.
No, it looks like a parking garage in Cleveland still.
Oh, are we still there? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
How silly of me. How could you get out of town that quickly?
He doesn't have the special spot that you and I had when we covered the World Series. That was in and out. But for a fan like the man we have coming on here next, he don't know about it. Maybe we need to tell him before he goes back to another game.
Yeah, joining the show right now, just outside of Progressive Field, Mr. Jonathon Langdon, who just took in Game 2 of the American League Division Series. And Jonathan, you got to tell me about the vibe in Cleveland right now. It was looking pretty good until it wasn't there in that 9th inning.
Yeah, so I'm here just sitting in a parking garage. It doesn't matter when we get out. It's just going to be chaos. So we're just going to sit here and talk a little bit about this game. So got the chance to go to Game 2, and I think the best recap of this game was that up until the 9th inning, it had everything except for runs. Mm-hmm. And just the top of the 9th inning, well, starting with the bottom of the top of the 8th inning, and with 2 outs, they're forced to put in Class A. And he does get them out, but thanks to Steven Kwan, an amazing diving catch, one of the best plays I've seen in person. But then Class A sits for a whole half inning, and he has to wait to get back in. And you could tell he'd never really had to do that in so long. I just think the bullpen management in this one was a little suspect. And obviously got to tip the cap to Kerry Carpenter, hitting a home run off Class A, 3-run homer. 5 runs given up the entire season for Class A, and he gives up 3 in the postseason. What a game, and respect to the Tigers. They tie this up, just big time for the Tigers, and they split this one, and they are going to get the next 2 at home.
So obviously we're pretty close to Detroit, only a couple hour drive to get over there. You actually went to the game with a Tiger fan, so I got to imagine there were some elbows, maybe a couple of 4-letter words thrown out throughout the course of the action today. But how many Tigers fans would you guesstimate were actually in attendance, if you can give me a percentage today? Did Cleveland fans show out? Because sometimes it's tough to tell. Our colors are kind of similar in some ways. Did the Guardians have the fan base out in full force? Because it was loud for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say, what do you think, like 20%? 25? Yeah, like 20%, which is pretty good considering they're the second closest. Well, second closest. Pirates are probably closer. But one of the closer teams to Cleveland. And yeah, you're eating those fries really good.
Yeah, what kind of snacks are going on in the vehicle right now? What are we working with?
Sorry. Anyway, so 20%. But in our section, I'd say there was only like one other pair of Tigers fans that we saw. So he was all on his own. They were booing him there towards the end, but yeah, just it was deserved. He says it's one of the best games he's ever gotten to see because just the sheer magnitude behind that hit, 3-run home run, took the whole game, and the silence that we heard. Yeah. Of course, silence, you can't hear it, but with how silent it was, you heard it. You could hear a pin drop. That's like from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. The quickest I've ever seen it go like that.
Yeah, that Kerry Carpenter hit. I mean, it sucked the whole helium out of our studio down here, too. Just me and Travis watching the game. So you felt it, you sensed it, even if we weren't in the ballpark today. But that Stephen Kwan diving catch that you noted, I thought the game was a wrap after that. I thought that the Tribe were going to have all the momentum going. Unbelievable play, saving a run, keeping it a 0-0 scoreless tie. Did it have that kind of energy today at the Prague where after that catch you felt like, okay, we're going to go get a run and we're going to close this baby out?
And before you comment, this is what was happening. Right before that pitch is thrown, Brian is here recording the top plays of the week. Quan dives for that. I have to jump up behind him so he doesn't see me, so he's thrown off. I see what happens. I have to pause it because he doesn't know anything that's going on. I paused it, then replayed it for him, and his reaction was... We thought that was the moment that the Guardians were going to have all the momentum, but then, now go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, the biggest moment like I've ever watched live. Everyone was going insane. The review, honestly, we like in our section, everyone I was talking to, we were split 50-50. We didn't know if he caught it or not. But like when I looked at the final replay when we moved on to like the bottom of the 8th, I went in and really closely saw that just got his glove underneath. It took obviously a bounce, but his glove was under there. So yeah,
it was a catch.
Yeah, it was a catch, 100%. So there were no excuses there. But I think what really set the tone was when they took out Noel and they put in Will Brennan to bat to lead off, which was obviously, I would say, the right move tactically, but I think you give Noel another chance to get on base, and if he gets on base, then you put Brennan in to run. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, tactics, it's Stephen Vogt's first year as a manager, first postseason. There are going to be mistakes like that. I guess you just can't question it. Now you move on to game 3.
And we're going to have to go to D-Town for the next couple, actually, and our very own Andy Jardy. Normally it's a party when we get a chance to talk to him. He's a little bit more doom and gloom now. He's saying if we don't get the next 2, we are screwed because Scooball coming back and pitching again in Cleveland. He doesn't like our chances there. Do you have kind of the same affinity after watching, the first couple of games of the series and feel like, the Cy Young winner, he probably just too good and we might want to close it out on the road?
Well, this is going to sound silly. Is it best of 5 or best of 7?
Best of 5.
So best of 5. So if the Tigers win both, we're not going to game 5.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, you got to take one of the 2.
That's what he's saying. We have to win both in Detroit because if we split,
then we can't get a split on the road.
Yeah,
that's what Andy's saying. He's not buying the guards unless we go get the next 2. He thinks we're donezo in game 5.
My brain just wasn't working there. But yeah, okay. Scuba was amazing. Cy Young for sure. He sealed it today. Even though postseason results doesn't matter, that definitely sealed it. And he was amazing. Just watching him, he had 8 Ks in 4 innings. Is that right?
Yeah, 8 Ks.
Yeah, he had 8 Ks in 4 innings. I think he ended with 8 Ks, but I've never seen a pitcher dominate like he just did. And yeah, very scary if he ends up if we end up going to 5 and he's the one pitching, because I don't see it going much different.
Well, let's get to the really important matters at hand here. I heard your buddy, he's in the car, he's getting in a little snack right now. What kind of food did you actually take in at the ballpark? Because there's a big variety. There's the Taste of Cleveland down there in the one section, so there's plenty that you can go choose from at the Prague. Where did you go with your money?
I wanted to go Barrio, but the line was really long. What did we get?
We got the hot honey.
We got like hot honey tenders. It was up in the nosebleeds. We were behind home plate. But I don't remember the name of the place, but they were pretty darn good.
Like Roosters or something. Like not
What about
No,
the
it
Tigers
wasn't-
fan?
not
What's his victory food there in the car?
What's your victory food? What were you just snacking on?
some Biggs, dill pickle, sunflower seeds.
Yeah, sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
Solid
Yeah,
choice.
true baseball fashion.
Absolutely.
Indeed. All right, Travis, you got anything else?
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't look at the Guardians' offense today and judge them going against who's going to be the Cy Young Award winner easily in the American League. But after putting up 7 runs in Game 1, you think Game 3 is going to be more of a look towards Game 1, or did that 9th inning just knock the wind out of their sails and this is going to be a dogfight the rest of the way?
I don't know. I think Cleveland will definitely come out better because I think outside of Skubal, it's very hard to find like a solidified second best pitcher. So from here on out, it's going to be a bullpen sort of rotation for the Tigers. And I think I haven't seen who we're going to start, but I think Alex Cobb could definitely start Game 3 and definitely give us some innings for the Guardians. Yeah, so Cobb is going to start for Game 3. So if he can go innings, if we can force the Tigers into using too much of their bullpen, I think Game 3 we should be able to stay close and potentially steal at the end.
Well, I even put it on Twitter right after the game, or X, or whatever it is now. But I said Tigers fans are celebrating like it's the World Series out on the field because that's the only win they're going to get in this series, because I just think they just have Skubal. And I think the Guardians lineup can do enough. And something that baffles me, though, is between Games 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, there's an off day, despite this being the closest one, which helps Detroit because they had to go to the bullpen early in Game 1. They're going to be rested now. It's just weird that that's happening for this series.
Yeah, it's unique. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big piece, but it definitely can't take that as a, I don't know, I feel like we shouldn't be excusing ourselves for that, but Cleveland, I think they're still clearly the better team. Even he over here admits that they don't have the greatest batting lineup.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a terrible batting lineup, but it's just one of those situations where you get hot at the end of the season and it just carries into the postseason, and if you're not careful, that they're going to take you a couple games.
Detroit is literally playing the movie Major League right now. They have nothing to lose.
Even if it goes 5, it's like we need a miracle home run to win today. So even with Skubal,
So
it's
Tigers
like
fans are already searching for a miracle. We're hearing it in their voice. It's a little bit shaky. They get the win. They get out of town with a victory, but still on a little bit of shaky ground. Jonathan, thanks for calling in and give us a little bit of perspective of what it was like at the park today. And don't feel like you were any part of the bad juju. The Tribe going to go on the road. We're going to handle business in D-Town.
Yeah, enjoy that beautiful
I
parking
apologize
garage,
in
man.
advance. I apologize in advance to River Valley and Clear Fork Volleyball because my voice won't be the greatest on the call tomorrow, but we'll work on that. I'll drink some tea tomorrow.
There you go.
It wouldn't be as bad as Reese Davis's voice on
That's
the
true.
football
I
game
saw
last
that.
night.
It was
Saturday
rough.
night, that was bad, man. We've all been there.
That
though, man.
final call when they scored, and it seemed like he was just out of it, but knowing what the situation, because he was filling in for somebody, right?
Yeah, somebody had a family emergency. He's been up for 24 hours, did college game day.
Right.
And then, I mean, remember when I went to the Backyard Brawl 2 years ago, came back, called a football game, and did the pigskin the next day? I had no voice either.
Yeah.
Yeah, relatable.
Yeah, you're already sounding a lot better. You're at least at like 7.
You're a lot better than I was
right now. So
I realized like in the 7th inning that I was like, wait, I have a game to call tomorrow. I need to stop yelling. So I was just like doing little fist bumps, and he was the one yelling.
maybe that's where everything changed.
by then
They
it was-
needed
it
you
was-
yelling,
yeah.
Jonathan. Actually, you know what?
Juju, man.
I'm
Come
reversing
on.
what I said. I thought that maybe you weren't a part of the whole downfall, but if you gave up and you were just giving us fist bumps, that's not enough. It's not enough. We need more from you, and we'll expect a great call tomorrow night then, since you kind of saved up and you're a little bit rested now.
Yeah, I do.
All right, Jonathon Langdon, everybody. one of our great broadcasters. Does all the different sports too, just like me and you. So he's not just a football guy. Of course, he's on a lot of volleyball, soccer.
Yeah,
as well.
we've been in contact back and forth. Once the volleyball brackets, he's like, dude, these back-to-back games, you and I need to work together. I'll do play-by-play for one. You do play-by-play for one. I'm like, do you see the schedule we got out there? It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry, but once we get to the States, though, maybe that'll happen. But no, he's awesome guy to work with. Great color commentator with you. Great play-by-play as well.
Just maybe not the best
voice of MDNU.
fan that we need out there for the guards, at least through 7 innings. So I appreciate that he was thinking work and kind of had that on his mind, but you got to be in the moment. You got to capture it when it's there, and we was on the doorstep, baby.
That was the first slider that somebody hit for a home run this season off of Class A. But when you throw it three straight times in a row,
that was kind of weird.
Throw your 101 mile an hour gas past him for the third time.
I'm with Jonathon too. I think he come in just a little bit too early. I know he got that out with Stephen Kwan throwing the cape on his back and making the diving effort, but probably save him to the 9th where he's comfortable coming in.
That 26, we were talking about this 2016, the comparison, 2016 bullpen and now. Do you remember, did Tito do that with his bull? They pitched 4 or 5 outs, or was it just a thing where it was one guy per inning? It was just random, though. I don't think Miller or Allen pitched more than 3 outs.
I've had one too many Millers and Allens since then, so my brain's not quite what it used to be. So I can't quite remember, but with the bullpen, a lot of similarities. About 4 different guys that could all come in and really do some nice work. So we'll see. Long series, and they get a day off, so we'll see that bullpen back in action on Wednesday, Travis. But we're going to be seeing next week, how about some tournament soccer action with the tournament draw going down yesterday. And we've got a lot of different divisions to look at. And ladies first, because we're some gentlemen around here. So let's take a look at the girls' Division II Central District, where Big Walnut.
Congratulations, you're sectional champ. Yay!
The highest seed in the bracket. They're a young but fun team. Can you believe that that's real? Actually, that's the boys. Can we get the girls?
That's the girls. No, boys. Okay,
that's the boys. Yeah, the girls at least have like 5 teams. The boys is even worse. What were they thinking when we actually do get to the boys?
Yeah,
like 3 teams. Okay, so this at least we got to win a couple games to get to regionals. That seems okay. That seems right.
Yeah, I mean it's. I looked at these earlier and said, man, the Central District's broken up now. If you go to the Northwest District, the Northeast District, there's so many teams that it's back to normal, like we'll see here in a bit. But with the Central District, there aren't that many teams that you can do that with, so they just have to split it up. I think in Division I, the Central District split up into 6 different, very mini brackets.
When they probably could have just done 2 or 3, but
then with the regionals and stuff.
With a million divisions, it's hard to break it all up. So let's look at one that actually has a few filled out teams. Let's go to the girls' D3 Lexington District. And to me, when I saw this, really crazy to see Lexington get the #1 seed because they're in a free fall.
Champs though.
They've lost 5 of their last 7. Ontario slapped them at their place 3-0. I was at that match, and I know that the Warriors themselves have not been playing very well. They've lost 3 of their last 4. I really think that Madison, they had the best resume out there with the 9 wins. They just lost to Lexington for the OCC title, but if you want to talk to me about the head-to-head, I saw Ontario have like 28 shots. Lexington got off 3 at home. So if they match up,
it seems like it's Ontario's
I very
season
much
too.
Favor the Warriors. But it's been a challenge for Ontario this year. I did not anticipate this many losses, even though I think it's probably one of the best strength of schedules in all of Division III.
Yeah.
They play New Albany, another strong Columbus team tomorrow.
But in the last 5-6 years that you thought Ontario was the favorite, they went they steamrolled through the regular season and then slipped up. Maybe it's the direct opposite. You know, they slip up a little bit in the regular season. Now they're ready to go. Maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see. But this is Norwalk right there is the #2 seed. Is this actually a Norwalk like the boys squad that made a district final last year, or is it just another the lower schedule, the lower strength of schedule that has them as the 2 seed going up against Mansfield Senior? But and then at the bottom of the bracket, Ashland Madison. I mean, that'll be a battle.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I really like the Lady Rams. I think that they have the best makeup in terms of being in the tournament. They just know how to win. I've seen it too many years in a row to count out Zach Huff's team. My full anticipation is that, guess what? We'll see Ontario, Madison again for a district championship, and then all bets are off then But that's how I kind of see this thing shaking out right now. I think the Warriors are probably cool being the number 4 seed. They've been the number 1 year after year after year.
That's what I said.
And
being different this year.
It's a little bit different feeling this year with their strength of schedule. I think they've only got 7 wins right now, but they do still have a bunch of games this week still to come. So this to me is the most exciting of the districts that we're going to be covering.
Yep.
We'll check out the girls' D4 Clyde district now, where Clear Fork is a huge favorite.
Congratulations on the sectional championship,
right?
Clear Fork.
They're already in there with some medals around their necks. All they got to do is win 2 matches, and you look at some of the other competition, it just doesn't feel like anybody has the capability to step up and beat Brittany Bechtel's team, who's trying to get to regionals for the first time in 10 years. And finally for them, with the redistricting and the additional
extra divisions,
this is the one team to me that it makes sense.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, they're probably cool with all these extra divisions coming in. All the rest of them, it's kind of weird.
Now, Liberty Benton, they're always a good girls soccer squad.
Sure.
They're at the bottom down. That would be the big test for Clear Fork. But like Clear Fork's just got to win one game to get to that point.
That's it.
So one win away from a trophy for Clear Fork. That's
Gotta love it.
Hey,
if you're them.
No, for Clear, it's great. I mean, play with what's given to you, and they get the number 1 seed. They take the bye. They'll get either Upper Sandusky or Gagnon. Very winnable for the Lady Colts, and then right then they're in the district championship game. So
book them into the district final.
That'll be at Clyde, too.
They've
nice
already
facility.
handled Galleon easily. Upper Sandusky may not even be able to take them down this year. So I think for sure you'll see Clear Fork, and then Liberty Benton probably would be the choice to face them.
And that'll be a good match. But, yeah, Clear Fork. I think this may be the year.
This is it.
Knock on wood, though.
All right, the girls' D5 Bluffton district. The expectation for me when I look at this thing from top to bottom is you'll see an undefeated Mansfield Christian versus
MBC
Riverdale
champs.
final. But guess what? Those 2 teams are playing right now as we speak, Travis. So what a weird setup and scenario. Now, granted, it'd be a couple weeks away before they will meet again in a final. The only other team, I see Crestview in there as a potential dark horse. They're the number 7 seed. I watched them with my own eyes tie Mansfield Christian earlier this year, and that was with Elise Belcher out of town. They didn't even have their top gun and best player. So if they were to advance and get another shot, I think that's a really fun Mid-Buckeye Conference game. And they might even play again here this year. I know the Mid-Buckeye Conference, they do their own conference tournament, which goes down at the end of this week. So it could potentially be round 3 between them. But Mansfield Christian undefeated under Jesse Ryder. You know how many freshmen he starts? About 5. This has been his best, most impressive job so far.
Well, the question, how many of those 5 played on his summer teams?
Well, at least a couple. I know 2 for sure.
But still, I mean, it's the Jesse Ryder effect. He's like Ted Lasso. He can just get anybody to win.
Maybe. He does have some Jesse-isms too.
Yeah, they're great. But when I saw this matchup, I'm like, well, there's one of our live streams immediately, because that could be a good matchup to start off for a sectional championship. They're playing a sectional championship, so here we go. But yeah, Jesse Ryder has his team lined up too with the schedule. Like you said, they're playing the top seed right now, getting ready for that. They'll most likely get the 2 seed in Columbus Grove in a district semi. But hey, good for MCS.
Yeah, this could be their first time. They've never ever won a district in all their years that they've been playing girls soccer. They've been to the final a few times, but they've never got beyond that. Maybe, just maybe.
I think it was Liberty Benton that kept knocking them off too.
At least once they did. All right, let's check out the fellas now, and we'll check out that
boys
D2 Central District. It is loaded with action. Hey, all sectional champs, you get a championship, and you get one too. Okay, so you're sitting there as the number 2 seed, and all you have to do is win 1 game to go to regionals. I don't even think I like that if I'm a coach or a player. You don't feel like you've earned anything. I don't even like the idea of just crowning the sectional champions like we have all across the board here. If you don't at least compete in a sectional, you're not going the full 4 rounds. This is intended to be a 4-round fight here, where I'm cool with the first round bye if you've earned it during the regular season. I've always been fine with that. You don't have to play in a semifinal, but to just give away matter of fact, they're giving away a district semifinal win already. What are we doing?
This was my bracket in basketball when I played in high school. Literally, it was sectional, semi-sectional final, and then you went to regional final. So you skipped one, but yeah, this is And now this is where you get a matchup like this, a 14-7, where Big Walnut gets the win. All they need is one upset to really get the you never know what could happen in one game. Like, it's not where they got to play 3 or 4 to get in the regionals. You play your best game once.
Kind of like them, too. They've got some good team speed. I enjoyed watching them play this year.
Hey, great for Big Walnut, though. I mean, you got an opportunity, but they got Westerville Central that they're going to have to face.
All right, a few more teams are included in the Division III Norwalk District. Number 3, Ontario.
It's a normal bracket.
This is what it should look like. They're going to host Norwalk. The Warriors just lost to Madison the other night, but this is a really good team. I really like Ontario this year. How about Lexington as the number 5 seed? This is the lowest that they've been in like 14 years or so. It's been a very long time.
They're going to Ashland.
At least they're familiar there. They're going to be playing on natural grass at the
community soccer stadium. Yeah.
So what a fun opening game. And then their other OCC foe, I already mentioned the Rams. They're the number 1 seed on the opposite side, far and away the best boys soccer team that I've personally got to watch with my own eyes this year. The Rams, a huge favorite, the OCC champions, to blitz their way through here. We haven't seen that type of scenario, in my opinion, outside of Lexington in 2019 had a team that you were just like, okay, like obviously with Ryan Parker
the state semifinal
Bayclot, or the big guy they had in the middle, the goalkeeping, where they allowed like 1 goal all year. This has that same feel to me, where it's Madison's a team of destiny. Again, knock on wood if you're a Rams fan. You don't want to overlook anybody, but it should be shaping up nicely for them to get through. They've already played a lot of these teams, already beat all these teams. Can they do it again? We're about to find out.
We might very well see Ontario-Madison Part 3 for a district semifinal. And, then who knows? Lexington or Ashley may get out of there, or you get Perkins. But Madison, very, very impressive. And you got to remember that 2019 season, Lexington had to beat Madison on a header off of a long throw in extra time and overtime to win that. Maybe we get Madison-Lexington again.
I'm kind of rooting for it. Peter Thames had his team at least in the district championship, I think, every year that he's been coaching, with the exception of one. And there are, 8 consecutive regional appearances?
Something like that.
That's on the line right now. You don't want to be the Minutemen team that ends up breaking that streak. Into the Division IV Shelby District we go. Clear Fork, again, this is the only team that I really feel like this all made sense. They avoid the likes of Lexington, Ontario, and Norwalk. And even though I just saw them the other day and they needed a penalty kick with 2 minutes left to knock off Crestview, I don't feel like this is that great of a team, but I also feel like they're probably going to end up going on and winning this district.
Take you back to basketball in 2016 or 17. A 1-win Clear Fork basketball team was a buzzer beater away from playing for a district championship because they played such a stacked schedule playing in the OCC, and then they got back down to their, Division III for the tournament and played like they should. That's kind of what this team reminds me of. They played some tough opponents, got the MOAC with Ontario, you got the River Valleys, and then some non-conference. Yeah, they might have kind of slept-walked through that Crestview game. You play down to your opponent or just have a bad game, but they still won that. Now you get into your bracket, the teams that you're more comfortable with, and they could make a run.
Cougars are much improved. We're going to see them coming up here in a second. Sandusky Bay teams traditionally have not done that well in the tournament.
Other than Norwalk last year.
This breakdown also helps them kind of have their own place to go compete for a district instead of having to come. Even though the games have normally been in Clyde, they've been shifted down here because it's been Richland County. We're just a step ahead, it seems like, on the soccer pitch. Until Norwalk, they've had those 2 seasons over the last several that they've got into that championship game. I think this is also a good move for those SBC squads. All right. Last one we're going to look at, boys D5 Tiffin District. Here are the Crestview Cougars. 6-match unbeaten streak. I saw them early in the year, and they played hard, but they didn't really know how to finish, and they still felt like they were a team that was figuring things out. This is the first squad since they brought soccer back for the boys in 2020 where they've had dudes start as freshmen that are getting the full 4 years, and they've got a handful of them. This team's good now. They're good enough to compete with Clear Fork and should have beat Clear Fork.
Yeah.
It was the right call at the end of the game, but if not a PK with 2 minutes left, they knock off Clear Fork, and that would have made them winners in 5 of their last 6, and they've played some decent teams as well.
Yeah.
So I like them. Mansfield Christian is another team to keep an eye on, of course, from our area out there, but I'm honestly, I have big expectations and interested to see what that matchup is going to bring, and then how far can the Cougars go in the tournament? Can they even get a first-round win? They've got a lot of confidence.
Well, they're going to be playing at home in that sectional. One of our few teams that actually plays in a sectional semifinal. They still get that draw, but they knock off Huron, then they get the top seed in Bluffton at Bluffton. Got to think Mansfield Christian at Comstock Field is going to be favored as well. So Crestview, they play like they did against Clear Fork, and when I was talking about Clear Fork, I'm not trying to put Crestview down either. Crestview playing good soccer. They beat Huron, maybe knock off Bluffton, then we have an NBC district semifinal. We could have a team from the area playing for a district championship at Tiffin.
In the right way, winning matches to get there. How about it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jeff. Let's put that to bed now, and let's move on to the Knox Morrow Athletic Report. I was wondering, don't we have a cool intro for this? We don't today? Okay. Just sports.
Football
Let's begin with football. Okay, not to knock off Pat McAfee, but if we got to make our own sound effects today. Still only one undefeated and still only one winless team. Let's take a look at the KMAC standings for the footballs right now, and you already know the Golden Knights.
Golden Knights.
One of the best teams maybe in the state, bro. Like this team, they've got it going on. They've scored 41 plus in 5 of their last 7 games, which is all of them, of course. And outside of that Centerburg game, they've only allowed 33 points. So you look at their next 3 weeks, as I'm sure you already have, they've got the 3 bottom feeders in the league, Mount Gilead, Cardington, and Loudonville in order. This is their best chance ever to go 10-0, something that has escaped them always.
And please don't kill me, Northmore folk, but this is probably going to happen. You want to know why, though? Mount Gilead, Cardington, Loudonville do not pass the ball well.
Okay.
Mount Gilead, Cardington, Loudonville do not have good pass defenses.
Nope.
Northmore, offensively, 1,500 passing yards, 19 total touchdowns from A.J. Bauer. And you saw against East Knox another game that we thought was going to be a good one. They just, the second play from scrimmage, Jack Swanger just went off down the field. 3 times, he just took off, wasn't guarded, wide open because of that speed. But this is the year that this could happen. Northmore could finish top 5 in the AP poll. They could very well finish number 1 in their region as well. This is lining up to be very favorable for the Golden Knights. It's just me saying it as a media person. Knock on wood again. Don't overlook your next 3 games, though. You play like you've been playing the last 7 weeks, you'll be fine. But if you overlook one of these 3 teams, it may be like the last few years where they stumble.
We'll look at that logjam now that you've given a nice bit of bulletin board material to all those teams on the waiting list there. So let's look at Danville. They've won their last 2 following that big loss at Northmore. They've outscored Loudonville and Cardington 56-8. They're taking care of business. 2 tough ones on the way, Centerburg and Fredericktown, that are all sitting there at 3-1. Oh, speaking of the Freddies, their 3 losses are by a combined 24 points. I'm looking at it right now, Travis, and they only lost by 13 to Northmore. They gave them a pretty good game. East Knox coming up next, then at Danville. 2 tough games. And speaking of those dogs, just suffering their first league loss last week, you've seen it, versus Northmore, 42-0. I don't think a lot of us really anticipated that it was going to be that lopsided. Nope. At Fredericktown, at Centerburg coming up next. So all those teams sitting at 3-1, they all play each other coming up here over the next couple of weeks, including the Berg. And since week 3, I like this stat, Travis. They're averaging more than 38 points per game.
Yes.
Their only loss coming to Northmore gave them the best game that the Golden Knights have had all year. But then their next 3 weeks, this is what's fun, at Danville, then at home in the heart of Ohio against East Knox and Fredericktown.
So Centerburg kind of reminds me of what Northmore was last year. Northmore gave Danville its toughest test before Danville went undefeated and made that run to the regional championship. Northmore as well caught fire towards the end, ran the table after that, made it to a regional semifinal. I can see Centerburg doing that. I can also see Centerburg, if you're a Northmore fan right now, you want Centerburg being on the opposite side of the bracket when these regional, at the end of week 10 when the playoff brackets come out, because I do not want to see Centerburg, especially in the first few weeks. There very well could be a couple upsets by the Trojans where you see a Northmore Centerburg regional championship. That's just KMAC Trav talking right now, but how awesome would that be? Because I know Coach Coelho's squad's chomping at the bit to get back at the Golden Knights after they almost got the dub there. But Fredericktown East Knox, real quick, that game, big for playoffs. I believe Fredericktown and East Knox in their region are towards the bottom. They're towards 15 or 16.
Yeah, they both need wins.
Need this win. Fredericktown's 15th. East Knox is 17th right now. So the winner of this will have good playoff hopes. But the loser is going to have to do a lot. But still, a rivalry game that'll get you playoff points. But whoever's going to win this game, they'll be sitting pretty to have themselves a chance of making the postseason.
Not sitting pretty right now. All those teams at 0-4. The good news is they get to play each other here. So Loudonville, even though you're winless right now, they finally put up more than one score last Friday for the first time since week 1. So trending. Got to go on the road, though, the next 2 weeks. Cardington out and Mount Gilead away from home. And then you look at MG. They've lost 4 straight since league play started. They've disappointed me. I thought we'd get more from the Purple People Leaders.
Me too.
They got to go to Northmore this week. Don't love that. And then they do have Loudonville, though, of course, coming up after that. And Cardington, sorry, last team here, hasn't won a KMAC game yet, of course, after their 2-1 start. Loudonville, and then at Northmore. But, like I said, something's got to give. One of these teams is going to start getting some wins here over these next couple weeks.
For Mount Gilead, win out, they're in because of the bonus points from Northmore.
Ding.
But if they follow the Golden Knights, they have to win their last 2 and get some help. There's still a chance that Mount Gilead could make its second ever playoff appearance, but they got to play strong football in weeks 9 and 10 especially. And if they can get the upset against Northmore, they control their own destiny. But even if they drop this Friday's game, they can still have a chance. Yes, I'm saying there's a chance if they win their last 2. Loudonville, Cardington. Cardington's got a really good running back. We'll see in the stats here. Loudonville's got a really good wide receiver, but that's pretty much all they have right now. Young squads, though, just keep playing football, boys. You know, this season might not be it, but what you have building might see that down the line here in a year or 2.
Let's take a look at some of the stat leaders. Now, let's begin with rushing then, since we've got a couple of birds out there making some appearances, and we've known traditionally the KMAC to be kind of a rushing type of conference. Only 2 players so far have broken into those quadruple digits. Blake Elliott leading the way, no surprise, but a lot of other guys out there. Blake Sipes impresses me because he's a quarterback, man.
Yep.
He's out there. He's almost got 1,000 yards, leads the league in touchdown rushes with 12.
Yeah, and that Fredericktown squad with him, I mean, the dual threat quarterback and Sipes, they got a good wide receiver as well. But out of that, that's why he has so many rushing yards, because they need him to run the ball. But nonetheless, it's very impressive behind Wyatt Denny. That's the Cardington running back we've been talking about, over 1,000 yards. Blake Elliott, he put up 300 yards in back-to-back weeks.
Crazy.
Had some big yards at the end of the Northmore game to get him over 1,000 yards. Congratulations to him for another 1,000-yard rushing season. But the Bulldogs too, they need a good game from him coming up this week just to be able to bounce back against Fredericktown. So you have the number 2 and 3 runners, quote unquote runners, since Sipes is a quarterback, going up against each other. And Cam Vickers, Mount Gilead, they got a power rushing attack, but they need to get the passing game going to be able to get those numbers up.
And you got to get in the end zone. Only 3 touchdowns.
Yes.
Ain't gonna cut it.
Aiden Burke doing what he needs to do for Danville, because they have enough balance rushing-wise. Hackman can run the ball. He can throw the ball a little bit. So Danville looking pretty, especially with the region they have. It's very favorable for them, too, if they can win out. But they got Centerburg and Miles Marshall right down there. Miles Marshall dropped down because they didn't need him last week. They used the passing attack. If you watch the pigskin, about my 9 highlights I had, about 7 of them were passing touchdowns on screens and stuff. So he got some scores there, but it was in the passing game. So Miles Marshall drops down. Chris Marshall, the brothers, right? The brothers Marshall doing things on both sides. So he might have dropped down in the rushing leaders, but he's still very valuable in their win last week.
Let's take a look now at the receiving leaders so far in the conference. Chris Marshall probably got to be in there, right? After all the big catches he had.
Trevin Harris, though.
Because Northmore's dominating, stealing most of the slots.
Yeah, Josiah Hirschberger, I said the one big player for Loudonville. 500 yards receiving, 38 catches, only 2 touchdowns, though. But then there you have it. Big play Bo, Cohen Becker, the Tavon Austin of the KMAC, and then Jack Swanger. Welcome back into the list after a 200-yard performance, 3 touchdowns against East Knox. Brody Davis of Fredericktown. There's the one wide receiver from Sipes that can put up numbers. And then Trevin Harris. I figured he would make it into this list at some point this year because he is such a big play candidate for Centerburg. But with the Marshalls coming out as well, right behind them is Chris Marshall. So Centerburg, like I said, they got that balanced passing attack, and they're the toughest threat to Northmore moving forward if they make it back to seeing each other in the playoffs.
1,200 combined yards between those 3 Golden Knights wideouts. But who's throwing the rock? Let's take a look at the quarterback leaders right now. In the Knox Morrow Athletic Conference, no surprise, A.J. Bauer. The completion percentage is just filthy.
13 of 13 against East Knox.
Stop it, man. And then the 19 touchdowns, and you noticed all those wide receivers at the top of the charts there for the Golden Knights. They each were bringing in quite a few tutties. Beyond that, Blaine Ball throws a pretty nice sharp spiral as well. And then Lexter, after missing that 1 week, he's bounced back. I think there's about 5 pretty quality quarterbacks in this league.
There are. A.J. Bauer also only 2 full games played. 1 game he made it to the third quarter against East Knox, and all the others only in 2 quarters. So that's why the completion and attempt percentage is down. But look at the yards he still puts up.
Crazy.
In that's great. Blaine Ball, Centerburg, like we said, throws a great ball. Jax Lester, if he played all of his games, he'd be probably ahead of Ball and fighting with Bauer for the top spot. And then I like what Blake Sipes does. I just wish Blake had a couple more receivers because Fredericktown would be really good if they had just maybe a receiver or 2 more. Dylan Wade of Loudonville, him and Hirschberger have the hook up. He can throw it, check it down as well. And then Jacob Hackman, again, from Danville, doing what he needs to do. They did drop a tough one to Hopewell. They dropped the one to Northmore. But other than that, they're playing Danville football. And like I said, they've got a good shot at being a top 4 seed in the playoffs and then maybe making another one of those Danville tournament runs.
Yeah, Coach Bloom will have them ready to go when the tournament rolls around. Let's take a look at volleyball now, where 2 dominant teams will determine a KMAC championship live and free later this week.
Wait tomorrow.
Fredericktown and Centerburg, of course, for the Freddies, 6 straight sweeps since they lost to Centerburg.
And we're swept.
At Cardington tomorrow, then they wrap up the season on Thursday versus those Lady Trojans, whose only losses on the season continue to be the same. I feel like I haven't had to change my notes at all. At Olentangy, who's D1, at Heath. Other than that, they have swept everybody else on the calendar. They've won 51 sets, Travis. They have only dropped 6, and those coming in those 2 matches. Absurd.
Phenomenal. I mean, this is a team that will take advantage of the multiple divisions added into volleyball. We'll see that later down the road here in the podcast when we show the brackets. But Centerburg is actually they're set up to not only win the KMAC outright, but they could be a district champion, at least a district championship contender. I should say at least, because they could make a run. You never know if they keep playing what they're doing. Fredericktown, they could be favored in their bracket as well. 11-1. They're going to have to pull off a big one on tomorrow night to split. Other than that, Loudonville.
Thursday is that match.
Thursday
yes,
is that
sir.
match.
You'll be there.
A T. It starts with a T. The day starts with a T. Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it is. But whatever.
It's okay.
It's this week. Northmore, they're bouncing back now. They're moving up.
That's
they're
where you're
tied
going to
with
be tomorrow, I
Loudonville,
believe.
10-9. I'll be
Yeah,
there
you'll
tomorrow.
be at the Castle
yes.
tomorrow, yeah.
I flipped it around. Yeah, tomorrow I'll be at the Castle. Thursday I'll be at the KMAC Championship. But Northmore's been doing well. Loudonville, like I said, moving into the KMAC. Look at them. They're sitting in 3rd. That's what I thought they'd be. The 3rd, 4th best team in the KMAC coming in this year after what they've been running roughshod through the MBC all these past years. But
their only losses in the league are to Centerburg and Fredericktown right now, so they've taken care of business against everybody else. A little bit up and down when they've been in their non-conference portion of the season, but the Birds, they're a good fit here in the KMAC despite not belonging to the K or the M, but that's okay. We'll overlook it. They do belong to a county that starts with an A. Does that works?
I like your wording of that, but yeah, they fit in well, and I wish I wish Lucas would have been another team added in there too, but that'd make 9, and it'd just make things weird. But right now...
Yeah, there's no R for Richland County in that KMAC, Travis. It just doesn't work.
No.
Sorry.
Love the graphic, too. Shout out Adam Thompson for updating my KMAC graphic. It looks much nicer. Let's get to some stats.
Surprise me.
Surprise me? Oh, that's what you were doing. I'm like, okay, surprises. Assists. Let's do the assist leaders. Callie Carpenter, from the Freddies of Fredericktown. We'll see her on Thursday night. 534 assists,
Woo.
7.6 assists per set. Almost a third of the kills needed to get a win in a set. Coming from Callie Carpenter, Ella Vermillion of Loudonville, second 501. Lizzie Earlston, 410. Josie Dawes of Centerburg. Sedona Weisbrod of Centerburg. I love seeing multiple teammates on a list like this because that just opens up your offense. You know what I mean, Brian? It's just not one person. You see it going to one setter for most of these matches. Like, okay, it's going this way. But when you have multiple, it throws you off. You don't know which way the pass is going to go, things like that. So I like that. And then Alexis Longsdorff of Cardington sits at fifth. But very impressive number. Over 500 assists for 2 players. That's nuts.
Yeah, sharing is caring, but you can't get it done without the kills on the other end. Let's see who is leading the league right now. In the kill factory, it is spooky season, so love dropping that. Ornsdorf still at the top right now. Kill percentage, too, out of this world, as is Maya Bryant. Mm-hmm. So those two, I mean, they truly are some artists when they're up around the net. Great leaping ability and tremendous athleticism to have that type of percentage. Every time you swing, if you're getting the kill 42 or 44% of the time, you're getting it done, son.
That's why I always stress that in player spotlights. If it's up that far, almost half the time that they swing, it's
4 point
nuts. It's nuts. 2 Trojans, 3 Freddies on this list. That's why they are at the top of the list. You get multiple players that can get the kill. Not only does it get you possibly a conference championship, but it gets you further in the tournament. That's why we see that with Monroeville every year. They have so many players that can get you a kill. It's the same here in the KMAC, and that's why Centerburg and Fredericktown probably favorites in their districts.
And last but not least, do we have the digs
2 more.
leaders?
We
got
have
digs?
digs and blocks, but let's go to digs.
I can dig it. Ava Fawcett's.
East Knox. They're a good defensive squad.
All right.
4 of them in there.
Yeah, I see Mustaka joins her along with Winkler and Redmond. So they didn't save much room for anybody else. Kylie Whipple, Addison Wolford of Loudonville. And that, to me, when I attend volleyball matches, what I am most impressed with are the girls that when it's slammed by those kill artists at 150 miles an hour, when they can softly just carom it off of their arms, or they can dive and somehow put it in a position where they can still get that bump set spike thing going on. I think that this is the most underrated part of volleyball that always just makes my jaw drop when I'm like, wow, they did it again.
Well, not only that, but when you dig it, you have to pass it towards that setter.
Sure.
So it's coming at 150 miles an hour, but you have to have that angle, everything ready to pass it, and these players are able to do so.
A lot going on there. Mm-hmm. All right, now the block party. The girls that are playing up at the net that make it tough for any opposing offense to score. And I mean, who's cooking these books? Because look at all these girls for EK again up at the top, and no question about it. Sid Opfer, we've seen this come in the last couple of years that she was going to have this type of performance, but 164 blocks, that means that she's involved on almost every single one for the team.
Yeah, and if you look at the assists, they're usually multiple players that get in there on the block. Opfer and Moore both 147 130 on the assists. Zoe Parker with 54, Redmond at 53, then Zoe Knight Zelda Danville 48, Sophie Lee of Loudonville 47. Now these are all based off of max preps, which you're supposed to put your stats into max preps. So anybody yelling at me that somebody has blocks, we go off of max preps. Yell at them, not me, please. But right now, East Knox, like I said, good defensive squad. They just got to keep it inside the lines when they go on the offensive and try to get the kill.
So that is your volleyball report. Make sure you tune in live and free tomorrow, of course. Chaps will be over at the Castle. And then on Thursday, the big one,
KMAC
Fredericktown hosting Centerburg. The winner will take it all. Well, kind of. Fredericktown can tie for the KMAC Championship. A couple of other notes here, Travis, because at District Golf, Centerburg Boys Golf just 1 shot away from qualifying for state as a team. They were right there. They just needed to be 1 shot better. But Bennett Hill, how about a district champion, man?
70. Dude, 70.
How do you shoot a 70 at Turnberry when you're only 17 years old or 18 years old? I know he's a senior now. Like, come on, man. What a round. That's a round of a lifetime.
That's a round I will never shoot. I don't think I'll ever shoot a 70 unless it's putt-putt.
Or on about 12 holes. Just cut your round short.
Yeah.
You can always walk off and say
Rain
that
delay, rain out,
accomplished
something
it.
like that. But congratulations to them.
Kudos to them. And then Caitlin Miley as well. Northmore Senior missed out on state again by the smallest of margins. Just one shot kept her from going out there individually. Shot a 79 at the links at Echo Springs. So again, another round. I've been playing golf since I was 8 years old. I'm finna be 40 coming up here this next year. I've only shot in the 70s 3 times in my entire life.
0.
She just did it.
82.
Had a great
82 is my best score. So, yeah, she's already out there. And I've played golf all my life. You don't want to know what my regional score was, though, back 18 holes.
Ask. Hopefully there wasn't a 1 at the beginning.
Yes, there was.
But that's okay.
It was way into the ones, but we'll just stop at that.
The Centerburg girls finished 4th in Division 2 as well. So, again, they only take 3 teams. Right on the doorstep. So
they took 2.
Oh, 2. I'm
but
sorry.
Still,
So
yeah.
they were very close, but just were not able to advance into the states. And then for cross country, we've got the KMAC Championships coming up on Saturday. We're going to have that live and free coverage for you guys. I'm going to be on the call. I'm going to try to get some people that really know about running to join me and drop some knowledge nuggets on you guys. But that's going to be going down at the Kokosing Reservoir. 2 big favorites, of course. I think individually we talked about them a couple of weeks ago. When you look at Will Baker of Mount Gilead, maybe the favorite to win the entire
Nationally ranked
state
runner. Yeah.
15:05. I watched him run at Seneca East. I can't unthink about that time. When we've talked about it already here, your first mile is usually about the time that he's doing.
My first mile walking is still at 16:20. Like he's done. He's already recovered, had his little Gatorade shot, and he's walked back to the bleachers, and I'm still.
And takes his shoes off, too. I love that immediately. And Tess Schultz as well, still undefeated, the 2-time All-Ohio, and soon to be 3 times. So those 2 are big favorites to win the individuals. And then as a unit, Mount Gilead, they're so deep from top to bottom. I mean, they're like the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It just goes on and on and on. They've got so many great runners. Most of them, though, are younger. They are a heavy favorite to win that KMAC championship. And you can watch it all go down again coming up.
And even the state
on Saturday.
State ranked number 1.
Indeed. All right, guys, let's get back to the high school footballs. And we had so many cool plays go down in Week 7 of the high school football season. I believe we covered 8 games. I dissected each of them and figured out what do I think was the best play from each of them. Here's my list. This is what I came up with.
Week 7's top plays coming at you, courtesy of our good friends at Spherion Mid-Ohio. Our first nominee almost never happened. You're going to watch as Colton Stover will sidestep a blitzer and then threads the needle into Caden Reichenbach, who starts singing, "Green Acres is the place to be." 83 yards later, the end zone is the place for he. Huge play for Highland to knock off the Galleon Tigers. The throw's a little bit wobbly, but it hits the bullseye right on the money, allowing Caden to break away for a Fighting Scots score to help capture an MOAC victory on their home turf. We welcome Brock Bauer back to the lineup and nominee number 2. The Hillsdale Junior DB is about to undercut the route here, grabs the interception, and he locks in the GPS for the corner of the end zone with no turns necessary as he veers around the traffic for the Falcons score. Picture perfect piece of defending as Bauer high points the pick, and he will follow his convoy to pay dirt as Hillsdale knocks off Waynedale for a 7-0 start to their glorious season. Our next nominee was not even in the play designs, but when you're as dangerous as Bob Penn Miller with the ball in your hands, sometimes you just got to call your own number. He's going to break loose after catapulting himself up the middle, and the Ohio State commit would roll 82 yards for an Ontario score, which all but iced the game. Pleasant thought they were getting the ball back off a Warriors punt, but Miller changes the plans on the fly as he flies through a couple of arm tackles, keeps his balance, and somehow escapes into the open field to keep the Big O undefeated. They also are 7-0. Nominee number 4 features another 7-0 team. A.J. Bauer was perfect for Northmore in the past game, but it helps when you got guys doing stuff like this. Cohen Becker hits the sideline, then he's going to hit the defender with a saucy crossover, ending in the end zone for a 43-yard Golden Knights TD. Slow it down for you a bit. Admire Becker's version of the stanky leg before reaching across the goal line for the score. More KMAC-Tion coming up at nominee number 5, and what appears to be a quick pass for breathing room on a 3rd and forever becomes so much more in the hands of Chris Marshall, who slithers past the mosh pit, then rocks and rolls down the edge and will eventually celebrate an 85-yard Trojans touchdown. We're going to show this to you one more time. The quick trigger from Blaine Ball, nice. A little bit of a jitter to the inside sucks in the entire Indians tribe, and Marshall will hit the boot, scoot, and boogie all the way to the zone, covering nearly every single yard line on his journey. Lucas facing a 4th and short situation at nominee 6, but senior fullback Dan Hawkinsmith has way more than just a first down on his docket, throwing a defender off his back and then avoids the entire second level on his way in for a 26-yard Cubs score. And it's even more brolic when you see it in slow-mo, tossing a would-be tackler aside like an empty soda can, and he trots into the end zone to spark some fireworks on homecoming night for Lucas. Seneca East was sitting on top of the N10 standings last week until they allowed the McMonster to escape out of his cage. That's Colonel Crawford's Connor McMichael, chewing up yards and defenders like a shark in a pool full of chum, swimming 87 yards down the field to light up the scoreboard. Huge play right there, as the Eagles would go on to win by just a single point, 21-20. With this third quarter touchdown sparking Crawford's second half comeback on the road. Nobody likes the McMonster when he gets angry. Second nominee on our countdown from that MOAC matchup in Sparta, where it's just the second play from scrimmage and Colton Stover's already committing some QB on QB crime, swindling Braxton Prosser of possession and trades in the bounty for a 6-pack of Highland points at the opposite end zone. Great read here as he baits the outside throw and Stover jumps the route to give the Scots an early lead and a 24-21 victory. Big Walnut's been on a roll since an opening night loss, and explosive plays are a major reason why. Here's another one at nominee number 9, Brody Hatfield, treating the Kilbourne defense like they're all McCoys, leaving them in his wake on a 59-yard touchdown sprint. A lot of this comes from the setup, though. The look-off attracts a full wave of defenders, and just look at that sea of red jerseys leading the way for Hatfield as he breaks free into the promised land. Nobody even lays a hand on him. Our final nominee brings us back to the Falcons' Nest, where Hillsdale's got the win, but Ethan Garrard helped Wayndale keep pace early. Nifty sprint through an A-gap, takes him to the edge where he covers nearly half the field on his way into the pylon for a Golden Bear score. Impressive leg strength on display right here as he bursts through some arm tackles through the hole, and he has just enough speed to finish it off to round out our top 10 list. Comment below right now to vote for the top play from week number 7.
And get it for 2 times points and votes if you hit us up live and free here on the podcast. But do it now. Time is running out. So those are your top plays, but what about the top individual performances?
Yes, Brian, we had, again, some phenomenal nominees coming your way. We actually had 2 teams that had 2 nominees because they were just so good, and they're both from state-ranked squads. Do you know who they are? We also have one guy that just likes to sleep at the OH Report and be into it. So I'm just going to quit with the teases, and I'm going to show you this week's Week 7 Phenominees for Friday Night Phenom.
Time for your Week 7 Friday Night Phenominees, brought to you by the folks at Spherion Mid-Ohio. We start down in Howard, Ohio, where Northmore's Jax Wenger is playing like a man on a mission after missing 3 games earlier in the season due to injury, but he hasn't skipped a beat. 7 catches, 203 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and he also set up his final score with an interception as Wenger is climbing back up the KMAC receiving ranks. Nominee number 2 has pitched a caught here at the OH Report, because if you're going to have big performances every week, you might as well just stay here. And that's exactly what Bogpin Miller, the athlete, has done. Another huge performance, 250 yards passing, 165 yards rushing, and 4 total touchdowns. And apparently he can also hurt you in the punt game, because if you turn your back on him, he ain't going to punt it. He's going to run and run far. Bogpin Miller, once again, Fee nominee. Our third nominee continues to be a two-way threat for the Hillsdale Falcons, as wide receiver defensive back Brock Bauer provided the offense and defense needed for the Falcons to get by pesky Waynedale. On the defensive side, he not only climbed the ladder for the pick, but took it back for the pick 6. Then he sealed the game later on in the fourth for the Falcons, running in the jet sweep to keep the Hillsdale Falcons unbeaten at 7-0. Nom number 4 has the Colonel Crawford Eagles back in the Northern 10 race, as running back Connor McMichael has retaken the rushing lead in the conference after his 210-yard, 2-touchdown performance against Seneca East. McMichael constantly pinballed through the Tiger defense, including an 86-yard touchdown run right here, which he avoided 5 defenders to get to pay dirt in their 21-20 win. Nominee number 5 put up a perfect performance passing to keep his state-ranked squad unbeaten, as Northmore's A.J. Bauer put up another clutch performance in a key game to put his Golden Knights into sole possession of first in the KMAC. 13 of 13 passing for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns at East Knox, and he only needed 3 quarters to do so. Bauer, one of the top passers in the area, is nominee number 5. Our 6th Fee nominee comes once again from Hillsdale, as Hayden McFadden hauled in his 4th and 5th touchdowns of the season on Friday night, totaling 5 catches for 90 yards and those 2 scores. The Falcons have a strong receiving corps with fellow nominee Brock Bauer and Holland Young, but McFadden put on the show Friday night to clinch a top spot in the countdown. Our final nominee comes from the top team in Division II Region 7, as Big Walnut's Brody Hatfield also posted a stellar two-way performance, as the junior went over the century mark receiving while hauling in a top play-worthy touchdown. He also secured 2 first-half interceptions on the defensive side to help pace the Golden Eagles to a big victory over Worthington Kilbourne. Our final nominee, number 7, Brody Hatfield of Big Walnut. I gave you the nominees. Now it's your turn to vote for the Phenom of the Week. Cast your vote in the comments section below, and we will have the winner for you on Friday's episode of The Pigskin.
And just like for the top plays, it is a double dip Monday. You have until the end of the show to put your vote out there in the comments section, and we will count it as 2 votes. So we have nominees to win top play and Fee nominee. Now we have our nominees for state champion on the volleyball side, as the tournament brackets also came out yesterday, Mr. Skronsky.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at quite a few of them, Travis. Many of our teams are competing in about, I think we counted like 9 different districts.
9 different districts. We have like 13 different sectional champions already. So congratulations, guys.
Hey, way to go. Let's get some medals rolled up. But we'll take a look at, I think I narrowed it down to 5 different ones. So we're going to first look at Division 3, the Willard District.
The Willard. I love that venue. I love the Haas for any sport. It's a great place.
It's a great time.
Yes.
Love going there. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're one of these top seeds, you see Ashland right now sitting at number 2, 13 wins for them. Looking for a 3rd win on the season over Mansfield Senior. Dominated them, swept them the first 2 times. They finished 3rd in the OCC. Madison, kind of surprising to me that they got a number 5 seed in here. Taking a look at their resume. 4 wins, all of them against teams with losing records, but they do get a host. They're at home against Toledo Waite.
But who do they play after that? It's a Norwalk squad that you saw make a nice run last year.
Yeah, they were a really good team that ended up moving on to the regionals, the number 1 squad again here, sitting in this repurposed Division 3. They were D2 last year, so I think probably a big favorite, those Lady Truckers, to advance and roll out of here into the Sweet 16. Division 4 Riverdale District features the number 1 seed in the Shelby Whippets, who will play for our MOAC Championship tomorrow night in Pleasant. Guess what? We'll have that game for you live and free right here on the OH Report. Looking forward to that one. Number 2 Lexington, they started the season at 12-0. They look like they were going to be a Final Four favorite. Then Bella Temple tears her ACL. They've been dealing with some tragedy. I believe that there were some parents lost to one of their players as well here recently. So they have not been the same team here lately. All 5 of their losses coming in their last 7 matches, including a loss in 2 sets of sweep against Shelby. So those are the 2 teams I think that probably would be the favorites to advance and potentially meet for a spot to move on into the regional round. Travis, Lexington, just with Ava Brown and what they're able to do as well with Stover, even though you lose your star setter who had 1,000 assists just in 2 seasons and was on pace to have like 600 assists this year and to go along with like 100 kills. Bella Temple, she's kind of that chick for that team. With her loss, can you see Lady Lex still turning it around with those 2 top guns that I talked about? Plus, they've got some other younger players now that are breaking into the roster and the lineup.
At least it didn't happen now. They had a chance to recover, work some things through. Yeah, you lost a few games at the end of the year, but still, you're the 2 seed. It doesn't matter if you're a 1 or a 2 because you're going to be avoid. Shelby would avoid Lexington. Lexington would avoid Shelby if it was flipped around the other way. Just try and get things worked out this last week. Get yourselves ready for Van Wert and 8 seed. You're hosting them, and then you'll probably get Liberty Benton in that district semifinal match. But for Lexington, just keep working through some things. Try some things out still if you're not comfortable with what you're doing for this week. They still, like you said, have those studs. And you played Shelby in a 2-set match. You played in the tournament atmosphere. Was that the first match they played on a day? Was that the second match they played on a day? Things like that, they come into. And also, those matches start way early. I'm half asleep still calling those matches. I apologize. I still do my best. But it's so early in the day. These matches are going on at 6, 7:30 when they usually are. So some of those things maybe accounted for as well. Not saying anything bad about Shelby. They earned that number 1 spot, and I'm guessing it's going to be those 2 in a battle in a district championship match.
Yeah, I'd like to see that rematch coming up here in a few weeks. In the Division 5 Seneca East District, number 3 Galleon has played a very challenging schedule. Just 11 wins for them, kind of below their standard. 2-5 also I see over their last 7. They potentially would be able to move into a position to take on the number 1 seed, the outright Sandusky Bay Conference champions in Willard. Swept Edison already. They're going to play them again tomorrow night with a chance to see them potentially again. So I think Willard might be the team that you would identify as the favorite to win this one, though. Galleon to me as well. They've got that pedigree. They've got all those different district championships that are plastered on their wall out there in Galleon. So that's a team that they're accustomed to playing big-time games during the regular season. They don't care that they have 9 losses right now. It gets them ready for this time of year. So I kind of like the Tigers and the Crimson Flashes.
Well, 5 of those losses, 4 losses for Galleon, twice to Shelby, twice to Highland, who's always a stud, and then they lost 15-11. They lost in 5 to Willard, 15-11 in that 5th set. So those 2, very good squads. But Huron, very good volleyball squad, too, that Galleon would have to face if they get past Crestview in the district semifinal. But Willard Galleon, we saw that district semis last year, I believe, and they end up knocking them off before losing to Huron in the district championship match 1 year ago. So Galleon, maybe a little payback tour as they try to get back to another district final.
And Crestview's no slouch. I didn't mean to count them out right away. I just feel like the Galleon Tigers, this is what they do. They play big time in the tournament. But Crestview's been playing some pretty solid volleyball as well, the 3rd best team right now in the Firelands Conference. Division 6, Hopewell Loudon, number 1 Monroeville. They are the queens of the Firelands, and then also the tournament when they get in. We've seen them a bunch of times here, just in recent memory since the OH Report has been around, go all the way to state. We've seen them get to the final day of the season before, state Final Fours as well. I think they're probably everybody's pick to make the regional. They do play a big game coming up, though, on Saturday.
Cannot wait to be at Cary High School on Saturday morning because Cary plays Monroeville. Kendra Snook knows what she's doing. She scheduled Mohawk this past weekend. They lost a tough one, 25-21, 25-21, 25-18 to Mohawk, who also is a very good squad that has a chance of going, but they're in Division 7. They're not in Division 6. Cary is, though. That'll be a great test for Kendra Kendra Snook's squad as they get into the final day of the regular season, but look at Western Reserve as well. Western Reserve took Monroeville to 5 sets before Monroeville won it. That was their closest test until the Mohawk match. So Monroeville, I think they have a pretty clean path to a district championship match, but Cary and Western Reserve will have. I'd look forward to that match before seeing who Monroeville would play in a district final.
Brownlands Conference is pretty deep this year. I think the top 5 teams, when you throw New London and Crestview and St. Paul into that mix, you're getting some good looks this season if you're Monroeville. And you're right, Kendra Snook saving some of these big-time battles, non-conference for late in the season, playing Cary on the road, and then also taking on a team like Mohawk on the road, who was 19-0 now. Very, very heady move by her to get her squad ready. The last district that we'll look at, Division 6 Shelby, and you might notice there's a lot of N10 flavor out there, Trav. How about Buckeye Central, Seneca East? I mean, Crawford's in there.
N10 with an MBC twist because 2 MBC teams that really had 2 battles this year going at it for a sectional championship. Yeah, a rubber match coming up between Mansfield Christian and Lucas. I'm probably going to want to call that game. I called the first 2. The first one, domination by Lucas at the Cub Cave, and then you flip them around and you put Mansfield Christian at home. They dominate and they end up winning in 4 sets. So love that first round matchup. And I think you got to also kind of like Buckeye Central, another team that when they get into the tournament, they're 15 wins for them right now, 5 losses. But this is a type of team and a coach that understands that you're playing for the playoffs, okay? You want to hang those banners. You want to get those N10 championships. That was for Mohawk this year, of course. They're not going to get that. But you're really just trying to get your kids prepared and ready for the win-or-go-home scenario. And I just feel like the Buckettes, they've got that figured out, and my anticipation is that they'll end up winning this. And the 2 seed in that bracket, Seneca East, Buckeye Central swept them twice.
Yes.
So this is a very favorable squad. I had them in the Delaney match up at Monroeville a couple Saturdays ago. They were competitive. Monroeville they're so good, but Buckeye Central stuck with them. It was kind of a flip-flop from last year where Buckeye Central handled Monroeville at home and then ended up beating Monroeville in a district championship. They don't have to face that this year. They're in different districts, so you could see Buckeye Central. They're the clear-cut favorite, but I'm still looking at that Mansfield Christian Lucas Part 3 at Buckeye Central in a sectional championship. You're going to have a good time calling that one.
Well, if you got a McDougal, you got a chance. They've got 3 of them for the Lady Buckettes this year.
By the way, Mr. McDougal, we're going to be giving you a call here.
Pick up.
You know what we're talking about. But anyway, I can't believe tournament season already. We talk about the fastest 10 weeks of the season for football, but once you get past week 7 of football, you're in the tournament season for soccer and volleyball.
The fact that we have playoffs next week.
Playoffs?
I'm not ready, Travis.
Are we ever?
Neither is the next team that we're about to talk about. Okay? After coming off of a playoff season and having the Coach of the Year voted in the NFL, just hasn't quite looked the same this year for the Cleveland Browns out of the gates as they fall to 1-4 on the season. And one of our super fans in the Browns realm, along with our rider of the Clebus, Mr. Lucas Wickheiser, can't even face us here tonight. Let's bring him in now. Luke, hanging out at home tonight, and it's tough, bro. I appreciate the...
So depressed he doesn't even put the sad face on it. It's just a bag.
Jeez.
Guys, I was performance, brother.
I hear you. Guys, I was going to do the old, the classic poke holes in the bag for eyes and put a smart Alex saying, but seriously, the bag was all I needed, man. I'm at a loss for words. Jeez.
Well, I saw that your article. I got to pull it up right now. It came with a mental health warning here. And to quote you, Luke, no effort, no heart, no passion, no oomph. They just didn't care enough to show up. Would you specifically tell me kind of what you saw yesterday that led you to think, like, this team really doesn't even want to be here today?
I there were a ton of things I saw the other day. I think the main thing for me was, even though it hasn't really been looked at much this season, was the run defense. I mean, I know teams struggle with run defense sometimes. I mean, there are great teams. And if you're being honest with yourself, every single NFL team has some sort of a running game, even the worst ones. But it's just like, we struggled last week against the worst rushing defense in the league, I think, going in, which was the Raiders. They'll give 153 yards to them, and they give up 215 rushing yards this last week. So it's ridiculous. And then, I kind of watched a post on X where basically I think Stefanski wanted to go for it on fourth down, even though we were already down by like 3 scores. Watson kind of walked him off. He didn't go over to the sideline and look for the play. He just kind of walked him off, shrugged him off. And it's just like that looked like insubordination to me. So this is far worse than just bad football. I mean, there's guys that are frustrated. It just looks like guys aren't giving their best effort. It's sad to watch, man. I can understand losing games that you play your best and lose against a great team, but what's going on with Cleveland right now? There is something rotten brewing in Cleveland. Forget Denmark. There's something rotten brewing in Cleveland.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fan base and then just everything that surrounds Deshaun Watson, where he came in and it was kind of just this gross feeling overall. And even when we won a couple of weeks ago, Luke, and then last season as well, when he was 4-1 as a starter, I can't tell you how many Browns fans were just wanting him to fail. They didn't want to root for the team. They wanted to root against that guy. So Kevin Stefanski, he said last night after the game, he was sticking with Deshaun Watson. He doubled down today at his presser. You look around the league, you see what Baker Mayfield just did. You see Joe Flacco getting into the lineup yesterday. Heck, I saw Jacoby Brissett throwing touchdowns when I had the red zone pulled up yesterday. Are you surprised that Kevin Stefanski is still sticking with the Deshaun Watson train and that he's on there? Not only that, he's the conductor. He's going to ride this thing for as far as it goes. After the play that we've seen so far, he's got 5 touchdown passes in 5 games. That's not quarterback play in the NFL, and specifically with what we have offensively and the couple of wideouts on the perimeter that we thought were going to be big time. Do you feel like he's kind of sticking with Deshaun a little bit too long and that it's time for Jameis Winston to at least get a try and try to get a spark?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, and I don't want to – I'm just going to say this on the record. Number one, and you know me, and I'll repeat it for everyone else at home, I was not in favor of the Watson trade, but now that he's here, I'm not going to root for him to fail because, what's the old saying? Rooting for someone to fail, whether it's in politics, whether it's in sports, whether it's in life, is like rooting for someone to crash the plane we're all riding on, right? We're all Browns fans. We're all riding on this plane, and unfortunately it's taking a nosedive. But I do think Stefanski's sticking with it too long, and I got one reason for that, and it's not him, because Stefanski, I think, is a good coach. I think he's a good person from what I've read and what I've seen. But the one reason he's sticking with this for far too long is James Arthur Haslam III. You just look straight at the top. He's the one that wanted Watson. I think he pushed Baker out of town. There were some other things going on. And it just is a bad look for the front office when they make Stefanski stick with this for far too long, because it's hard to admit when you make a mistake. I mean, it sucks for anyone to admit when they make a mistake. But the worst thing you can do in football is to not only know you made a mistake, the fan base knows you made a mistake, but no, you double down on it and say, we're going to ride with this. We've signed him to a huge contract. Well, that's not the best thing to do if you're going to try to put your team in the best position to win. So I think Stefanski's riding this out too long, but I don't think it's his fault. I think Jimmy's pulling the strings there. I feel bad for him.
Hey, Luke. It was just a bad day all around for us NFL fans here at the OH Report, but let me paint you a picture. Have you seen the movie The Replacements?
No, I have not. Is that the one with Keanu Reeves, though?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. A bunch of replacement players come in while the main players were on strike. Brett Cullen, his name's Eddie Martell in the movie. He was a main quarterback. Keanu Reeves, quarterback out of Ohio State, comes in, turns the team around. They're 1 win away from the playoffs when Eddie Martell crosses the line to play on Thanksgiving night to play for a place in the playoffs, right? Right before the half, Gene Hackman, Jimmy McGinty, the quarterback, the coach, calls out a play. We want to go downfield one more time before the half. What does Eddie Martell do? Kneels on it and walks off the field. What was going on when you saw the Browns going for it on 4th down and your quarterback just looks at your coach and walks off the field, and then you see your coach just go down like this? First question for that. And second, do you have somebody like a Shane Falco that can come in with the heart and take over this Browns team, because you need both?
Oh, well, to answer your first part of your question, I have no idea. And to be honest, guys, I watched enough of the game that I could stomach and I could make a good post-game article, and I read all the recaps and watched all the other highlights, but I didn't watch it all. But I didn't see in live time when Watson walked off, because I can guarantee you if I had seen that in live time, I'd be paying for a new TV. You don't do that to your coach.
Probably a lot of people are paying for new TVs today.
Yeah, I think I was the smart one. I tuned out when I couldn't stomach it anymore and came back later. But no, man, I don't know what happened with Watson, and you just don't do that to your coach, And I know Haslam is pulling the strings, and I probably would get fired if I was in Stefanski's position, but I would have sat Watson down and be like, you have, number one, you don't act like that to your coach, and number two, you haven't even played well enough remotely to even begin acting like that. I mean, it'd be different if he was lighting up the league, best quarterback in the league, because you could put up with that kind of baggage, but he hasn't even been playing well enough to even warrant that kind of attitude. And number two, I don't know who we have who could come in for Watson. I mean, the two best guys we could have had for that position are number one, one's in Tampa and the other one's in Indianapolis. So I have no idea, guys. I don't know what the next quarterback class looks like, but we're up crap creek without a paddle.
Well, like Watson said, he still has 11 weeks to get better, Brian.
Yeah, there's still time in the season here, Luke, so I don't know that I'm going to pay as close of attention as I have here these first 5 weeks of Browns football. I do love the NFL, and I'm going to be locked in, of course, every Sunday. I just might not have to have that on the big screen anymore. That they haven't really deserved it, I don't think. So let's talk about a team now that fully has deserved
really
it.
Good
the
team.
Ohio State Buckeyes. This is the best team that we have had talent-wise in many, many a year, maybe all time with the NIL and some of the guys that we've been able to bring in this season. It just looks like they are a juggernaut right now, Luke. So let's go over some of your talking points for the win that they just had against Iowa. They crushed them 35-7, 5-0 on the season. They should be number one in the country. They stay at number two because of Texas leapfrogging them. I'm not sure why, but a lot of credit has to go to the Silver Bullets. Your headline, complete defensive masterclass. Tell me more. What did you like most about that side of the football?
I think I liked most that they were rallying to the football, and they were playing swarming defense, chalk it up to being a carry guy. That's kind of what the Blue Devils do when they do well. What any good defensive team does when they do well. I love when they swarm to the football. They basically collapse the pocket. They slow down running lanes. They rally to the ball. And Ohio State, and I love Jim Knowles, and I love what he's doing here. But there have been too many times, at least for a team this good, that have, they've basically given offenses they've been giving them holes in the coverage to kind of dink and dunk, pick them apart and stuff like that. And it was good to see them finally close it up against a decent team. I mean, I know Iowa's not known for offense, obviously, but this was their first, I think, decent test this kind of aggressive defense out. And I love what I saw with rallying to the football. And if they can keep this up, Oregon Ducks taste like chicken. That's all I got to say.
Running with attitude is your next headline. 39 carries, 203 yards for the Buckeyes. It just felt like a classic Ohio State team. We're going to pound the rock, and that sets up the pass for us. We've got, smash and dash, the two best backfield tandem in America. But maybe if you look at the history of college football, I don't want to look too far. It's only been 5 weeks, but I think by the time it's all said and done, if they continue at this pace, you'll say that they're one of the best tandems that we have ever seen here at the Division I level, Luke.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, knock on wood that both of them are staying healthy right now, because I know Henderson was really struggling with his health, and I don't know if it was just his ankles or what's going on, but it's good to see that Judkins and Henderson are both staying healthy and they're doing well. And this is, like I said, this is what gives defensive coordinators nightmare. It gives them ulcers. It's like we got to face not only a healthy team, they're extremely talented, and they know what they're doing, and they're starting to gel, because we're kind of getting into the point where it's not late in the season yet, but we're mid-season, and they're definitely in mid-season form. So I wouldn't say the Smash and Dash brothers are the greatest tandem yet for Ohio State. I think the only way you can say that is if they go win the national championship, and I think they can. But as of right now, they're firing on all 12 cylinders, not 8, baby. This is a Ferrari. Let's go.
And another added dimension that we haven't really had in Columbus in a while is a running quarterback. Will Howard, though, he's shown that he can throw the football down the field. He only missed 4 of his 25 passes on Saturday, threw for 4 touchdowns, and man, that complement of wide receivers. What Brian Hartline's been able to do on the recruiting trail, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Abuka's been amazing. The freshman is, I think he's NFL ready right now, Luke. You could come and drop him in Cleveland, and he would probably be the best threat that we have in the passing game right now on the field in Jeremiah Smith. So it just feels like Will Howard, though, he brings a little bit of confidence in moxie. He's an older guy. He's been around. He's played some college football. I love what he does out there, and he's on to the next play. Sometimes he'll make a bad pass, but nothing phases this guy.
No, I agree, and that's exactly what you need for, a top quarterback. What's the old saying? Quarterback's got to have a short memory, because if they let an interception or a drop touchdown, if there was one, or a drop pass, kind of get in their head, they're going to be just screwed up for the rest of the game, and their rhythm's going to be off. And Will Howard is just a consummate professional. I mean, he played at Kansas State for 3 seasons. He kind of refined his craft, and now he's just having fun. I forget who the lady was that interviewed him after the game, but she just asked him point blank. She was like, "What's it like playing with this amount of offensive weapons?" And I forget what he called Emeka and Jeremiah. I think he called Emeka Mech and Jeremiah something else. He's got nicknames for these guys already, which tells me one thing: they're gelling. They're playing. Or it tells me that they're gelling. Tells me that they're playing their best. And Will Howard, I think, is probably having the most fun he's ever had slinging a football. And if he's having fun, if the Buckeyes are clicking, look out. Let's go.
Oh, Iowa's a good football team, but they ain't Oregon.
Yeah.
Plus, we got them at home as well. So going on the road, we got to travel to the West Coast. We're jumping 3 time zones. This is going to be the game of the year outside of what we saw a couple of weekends ago with that big game in Alabama getting the win over #1 Georgia. But this is huge, man. I assume game day's got to be there, right? How can you go anywhere else but Eugene?
Yeah,
they got to be in the house, so there's going to be a lot of buzz. This one's got plenty of juice. Break it down for me. I haven't seen a ton of Oregon football, but I know Gabriel's having a great season right now at quarterback. They have a running attack that they can pair with it. What do you feel going into this game between Oregon and Ohio State, and how do we get it done on the road?
And I actually got to do my own more research before the game. I didn't do a whole lot of research myself, admittedly, which is normally not my thing. I'm normally right on top of it. But what I do know for Oregon, at least traditionally, is those guys are just fast. I mean, whether it's running, whether it's passing, whether it's no huddle, they try to keep you off balance as much as they can, offensively, defensively, everywhere. So I think you just have to find a way to contain. You're not going to stop Oregon dead in their tracks. I highly doubt you are. It'd be great if Ohio State did, but you're not going to stop them dead in their tracks. You're going to have to slow them down, contain them, defend the flats, have good, sound, fundamental football. I know it's been years, but I think back to, I think it was the 2010 Rose Bowl, where everybody was saying, "Oh, Oregon's too fast. Ohio State's big, but they're slow. They're not moving quite as fast as the Ducks are." And all Ohio State did was cut Oregon's points per game in half and just shut the Ducks down entirely. So you're going to have kind of, I think, that same blueprint, at least at the big picture, the macro level here. You're going to have to deal with Oregon's speed, which I think Ohio State actually has gotten quite a bit faster over the years too. So it might be a track meet. It wouldn't surprise me if both teams scored 30 plus. It'd probably be a shootout.
Yeah, it's still early in the week right now. The ESPN matchup predictor has Ohio State 63.7% as the favorite in this game. 7:30 kickoff coming up here on Saturday night. 2 teams that are 5-0, 2-0 in the now ginormous Big Ten, really the Big 18 now. It's so weird that this is a conference game, but I love it, Luke. I love it in this instance that there's a lot on the line coming up here on Saturday night. I wonder the ratings for that thing are going to be through the roof.
Oh, yeah. It'd be like the ratings we saw Notre Dame, Ohio State at this point 1 year ago.
Right. Luke, I agree with that for sure, Travis.
Yeah. Hey, man, keep enjoying your Saturdays as you should. Have a big smile on your face. I know when you're typing away on these articles, I can sense the love that you're feeling for these Buckeyes, and I feel like they've kind of captured the hearts of the entire state right now. And on Sundays, keep that bag handy just in case you need to vomit if the offense is as downtrodden as it's been here these last few weeks. But appreciate that you always give the correct perspective on these things, how we all feel. You're very honest, you're truthful, and we're very appreciative of you here, Luke, for laying it out for us.
I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. It's just kind of the way I've always been as a person. I try to be as, objective and honest as I can be without being rude or mean. But at the same time, if you love a team, I think it's fair. You should be allowed to criticize them when they're doing poorly, like the Browns are, and you're allowed to love on them and kind of brag them up if they're like the Buckeyes. It's just that's what fans do, and we love our teams. We wear our hearts on our sleeve, and we don't know how else to be. At least I don't. So, but thank you for giving me a chance to air that and to be an outlet for you guys. And it's always fun writing for you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lucas Wickheiser, everybody from the Klebus. Check out all of his articles. We got them all stored in a row out there on the OH Report. So just check out www.oh.report. Click on the Klebus, and it's all there for you. I see right now opening lines, Ohio State -3.5 going on the road. So I think the world's kind of seeing what we see from this Ohio State team. It's not just in Ohio this year, like how we're kind of like weird as Browns fans and we think we're going to be good, and the rest of the country's like, guys, what are you talking about? This team is for real.
I would take Ohio State -6.5. I think it'd be at least a 7-point win for the Buckeyes. But hey, it was a good show tonight, Brian. We're done, right?
It was indeed. But
what?
We're not done just yet.
No?
We're going to end the program tonight with a storyline that's 16 years in the making,
Ooh,
Travis.
Do tell.
And I think that many that know me feel like
she's 16.
I didn't have
she was like
the
2 feet when I saw her
responsibility or
first.
the maturity to raise a human being to legal driving age. But I've done it. I've accomplished it. Please welcome to the program my daughter, a sweet 16-year-old right now, living her birthday out at home, A.L.D.S Game. What's up, Ihan? What are you up to right now?
I'm just sitting here. I've been waiting for a little bit. You talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It can't be easy being the daughter of the founder of OH.Report, because that's what I do. I'm just constantly, I got a microphone in my face, and I'm just chit-chatting all the time. And I know, actually, you're supposed to kind of keep a low profile today because you didn't go to school. Maybe feeling a little under the weather.
Very.
But might have got out of the house today. Tell us about your adventures and your grand expedition as a...
Oh, look at that
But
face
first,
on
look
Brian.
at those cuties. Look at, we were so much younger then. Okay, look at no wrinkles or gray hair for me, Aaliyah. My gosh, where does the time go? But tell us about your day today. What'd you get into?
So I woke up to blasting music of some rap happy birthday song.
You're welcome.
And there were balloons and like these streamers everywhere. I walked downstairs, I opened some presents, and then my mom was like, all right, time to pick your first choice. And she held out 2 like note cards, and I had to choose one, and I chose Starbucks. So we got ready and went to Starbucks, and then after that she pulled out 2 more cards. I picked one item from Target, so I drove over to Target with her, and I got a record, the Olivia Rodrigo record, and then I picked another note card, and I picked car wash no rims instead of car wash rims. So we went through the car wash, and then I picked another card. It was either go to fast food or go to a sit-down restaurant, and we chose Chipotle. I picked the fast food card, and while we were waiting for that, we went into Barnes & Noble and just looked at some books. I didn't find any. Then we went to Chipotle, and then the last card, I picked Crumble Cookie instead of the Kroger Bakery, so we went to get Crumble Cookie, and when you get home, we're going to sing happy birthday, and you can eat the Crumble Cookie that you've been wanting.
Yeah, I've been wanting to dive into that crumble cookie all day since I seen that you brought it home. So hopefully you're saving me at least a little piece of that Reese cookie. I'm very much looking forward to that. But I know also that your mother allowed you to drive today when you were out and about on the town. So
Looks like she didn't wreck. That's good.
You're legally able to drive. Do you feel like you are now ready for solo driving? Because legally, once you pass your classes here soon, you would be allowed to be out on the road by yourself. Are you ready for this opportunity?
I'm a little nervous because it's going to be a big difference going from having someone in the car, like, kind of guiding me through what to do to, like, having no one. And sometimes I'm just listening to my music and I just kind of zone out and I'm singing and I'm, like, not paying as much attention as I should. So just with a little more practice, I think I should be ready.
I wonder if we have any law enforcement from the Mansfield area watching in right now. We apologize in advance.
Sorry.
So, Aaliyah, now that you're 16, you're a sophomore at Ontario, and, just a lot of things going on in your life. What would you say is the best part about being just a sweet 16-year-old and being at your current age, living in 2024? What are you enjoying most about your current lifestyle other than swiping my card all over town, it sounds like, at a variety of different places?
I also got my debit card today. I went to the bank and got one, but my favorite part about being 16 at this age is like, I just like always have like my friends like on my phone. Like I got so many text messages and like pictures sent to me today just saying happy birthday, and like if I didn't have that, I wouldn't feel like as special being 16 because I wouldn't have all those people telling me happy birthday.
So you got a lot of presents already. It sounds like you got to pick out a bunch yourself. Are there anything maybe missing that you haven't unwrapped that you were expecting? Like what's your thought process on how your gifting has gone so far today?
My gifting has been good. I've gotten everything. You guys listen to me very well. Like I'll talk about something and then you guys got it for me, and you kind of let me choose what I kind of wanted to do today with the note cards. But one thing that I was really hoping that you guys would do for me, but you didn't, was a car. And I mean, I kind of knew that you guys weren't gonna get one because it's my responsibility to pay for it. But I just had this feeling deep down maybe I'll wake up and there will be a car outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars outside. They just don't belong to you. I don't have the keys for them, Aaliyah, but you can always live vicariously and see the rest of us. And you're any time that you want, when you jump in the whip with me, you're allowed to chauffeur me around. So perhaps we can build up to getting you your own vehicle. I know you want to buy mine, though. You want to buy the OH.Report Mobile. 5 years I've had it. I just finished the last payment on it a couple of weeks ago. Do you feel like that Audi A6 is actually going to become yours?
I mean, I've driven it for my whole learning process, and I can't envision me in any car other than that one. Every time I think about me driving, I just think about me in that Audi, and I can just envision me going through the car wash by myself, and I feel like I'll take really great care of it.
Well, it's good to see about what you got for your presents, but I got this new present for Brian today. Nice little OH.Report hat, that thing, trucker hat. Adam got one too. It's a good present for me. Thank you, Brian. Celebrating his birthday by giving me a present.
Everybody gets a gift on your birthday, Aaliyah.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how special you are.
Absolutely. So you'd rate your birthday today A, B, C, D, A plus for your day?
I rate it probably an A- because I still don't feel very well. I've been sick the past couple of days, but other than that, everything's great.
That's good. And you didn't get a car, so that's why it's a minus instead of a regular A or an A plus, right? Come on, Dad.
Yeah.
We can work on that. What about your real grade card? A, B, C, D. There's more of the A's on there, right?
The last time I checked, I had all A's in all of my classes except for Algebra 2.
And how we doing there?
I have a B-.
Okay.
That's good. Hey.
So we're doing okay. We're doing okay. All right, Aaliyah. Well, we do appreciate you taking time out of your very busy Sweet 16 day to call in here to the OH Report. I thought that it was important for people to understand that not only did I raise a person, that they're getting A's right now. Great hair, of course, and you're doing the thing. So congratulations on making it to 16 with me being your dad, Aaliyah. We're all very impressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. My daughter, Aaliyah Skoronsky. Wow.
I remember.
If I'm still on the screen right now.
Watch us tomorrow night. Championship. Clear Fork is hosting River Valley and boys soccer on Thursday. We already talked about it a bunch, but that game at Fredericktown is for the KMAC Championship. Then on Saturday, we have the actual KMAC Championships for cross country to go along with our Friday night football games.
Shelby
I think we're
Pleasant
have
volleyball.
10. Oh, yeah, and tomorrow night, too. I forgot.
The MOAC
Shoot. MOAC Championship. So it is championship week here on the OH Report. Take it all in. Just don't change the channel. Bye, guys.
Bye.